Welcome back, welcome back. So, I'm doing my thing, and I come across this video, which reminds me of something. So we're just gonna, we're gonna jump into this.
Have you heard of the Russian scientist who injected himself with a 3.5 million year old bacteria?
For fun?
For science.
Oh, okay.
So this Russian scientist named Dr. Rothbach, digging in the permafrost in Siberia, they discovered this bacteria that was so far down it was still living. But they tested this bacteria on mice, plants, and the mice and plants lived way longer, and the crops didn't die as fast when it was cold outside. They're calling it the elixir of life. They're saying that this thing could contribute to people, animals, and plants all living longer than they should. There's a town pretty close to where they found this bacteria. The people have lived way longer than all the other people in the region. So he was basically like, I want to try it on myself. And he said he hadn't had a cold or flu in 2 years since injecting himself. It got me thinking in the Bible times how they lived 900.
Nuts.
You wonder if like that is a
Could you imagine?
bacteria from the first days of creation.
You taking that bacteria?
I would take it. No. Have you heard of the Russian scientist who injected?
Would you take it? Fair use. So, this reminds me of the video game that I constantly talk about, Division 2. Because that's exactly what the fucking game, that's exactly what happens in the game. And, you know,
Earliest appears to be a previously unknown variant of the 40s, suspected catching many experts off guard.
didn't I just play you a video about the Bible and what the Lord said he's going to do to the people that destroyed Israel all this time? What did he say he's going to do? He said, if you don't leave my children alone, I'm going to make you fight each other to the death. Mortal Kombat style. Oh shit, sound the horns. You know. Sound the horns.
Back on the breaking news, leading with unconfirmed reports of a smallpox
outbreak is a highly rehearsed scenario.
And National Guard units converging on a hospital in central
bridges
Manhattan.
are closed. It's smallpox is a very real danger.
I guess life's a game. Oh yeah, I keep fucking saying play life like a video game. Except there's no
do-overs. Contagious
do-overs.
viral disease that is estimated to have resulted in 300 to 500 million deaths throughout history. The initial symptoms include fever and vomiting. This is then followed by the formation of sores in the mouth and a skin rash. Over a number of days, the skin rash turns into fluid-filled bumps with a dent in the center. The bumps then scab over and fall off, leaving scars.
After that world blah blah blah, didn't we get some new thing called monkeypox? Didn't we?
Disease is spread between people or via contaminated objects. The risk of death after contracting the disease is about 30%, with higher rates among babies. Often those who survive have extensive scarring of their skin, and some are left blind. The earliest evidence of the disease dates back to the 3rd century BC in Egyptian mummies. In 18th century Europe, it's estimated...
What did I just play you? A dumbass Russian scientist went in the ice and fucking got something that's from back in those days. Oh, wow, that's fucking the biggest coincidence in the world. Real funny thing, too. Shout out, Gina. Thanks for, falling in love with Resident Evil 2. Thank you for letting me teach you how to play that game and me be a good boyfriend. And even though I beat it like fucking 100 times, I sat there and walked your ass all the way through it and let you beat it, though. Remember? Remember how good Daddy was? Taught you how to do it? Remember every day we used to fucking... Remember? Well, from you playing that game and then me actually watching, I learned a whole bunch of stuff. And it's funny that that's the same fucking story in that. Some idiot wants to do things so they can live longer. And then, because, gotta try it on somebody.
BC and Egyptian mummies.
You don't want to be the guy
In
to try
18th
it
century
first,
Europe, it's estimated that 400,000 deaths per year were because of the disease. And as recently as 1967, 15 million cases were reported in a single year. Following this, the World Health Organization intensified its efforts to eliminate the disease. The last naturally occurring case was diagnosed in October 1977, and the World Health Organization certified the global eradication of the disease in 1980.
Pizza and wings. Get 2 or more Papa Pairings things.
80. One of the last cases of smallpox occurred in Birmingham, United Kingdom in 1978. A medical photographer contracted the disease at the University of Birmingham Medical School and died on the 11th of September 1978. All known stocks of the smallpox were subsequently destroyed or transferred to 2 World Health Organization designated laboratories: the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the Russia's State Research Center of Virology and Biotechnology. The World Health Organization first recommended destruction of the virus in 1986, but this kept getting postponed due to resistance from the US and Russia. In 2002, the World Health Assembly agreed to permit the temporary retention of the virus stocks for specific research purposes. In the division, we're introduced to the virus well after it's taken hold of New York City and has spread to other parts of the world. It shows all of the usual characteristics of smallpox, except for a couple of quite major differences. Firstly, it managed to spread among the population long before any symptoms started to show, and secondly, the mortality rate was considerably higher. The smallpox virus was nothing like the virus we've seen through history. It was some new variation, some sort of new superbug. But where did it come from, and why now? And this is where I introduce you to the man behind it all, Dr. Gordon Amherst. Amherst was a calm, collected man, but he had a reputation as being a controversial and dangerous individual even before the outbreak of the dollar flu. He would practically cause riots at lectures he would hold, and was otherwise considered an unpopular figure by virologists like Dr. Jessica Kendall. Gordon Amherst is the man behind the creation and outbreak of the dollar flu. His reasoning for creating and spreading the green poison was that humanity was too powerful on a global scale, and Mother Nature needed help in advancing her creations. Mankind is the greatest threat to the survival of the planet through their own greed, but he had the cure. Amherst also had a Darwinist point of view. Only the strong deserve to live, and his creation is the tool to ensure that this happens. But at the same time, he is willing and accepted that his death may come from his own creation. Gordon Amherst was friends with Vitaly Todorov and worked with him in Russian labs. Through this friendship, he had access to genetic libraries of many different pathogens, as well as Vitaly's research notes. He was able to modify the basic smallpox virus by combining it with several other dangerous diseases, like Ebola and H1N1. On top of this, he also modified the genetic traits that controlled the incubation period, and made it so that it could even spread while it was incubating in the host. This made it particularly lethal, because by the time that the host was showing symptoms, it had already spread to a significant number of others. Using a protein printer, Amherst was able to create the final form of his virus just in time for Black Friday, one of the United States' busiest retail days of the year. His plan was to spread this new virus via means that were most in contact with people during this shopping holiday: money. Hence the name, the dollar flu. Before it was realized that it was smallpox, people took the epidemic for just a particularly bad version of the annual flu. Also, because medical personnel got sick too, the medical infrastructure quickly collapsed. Even once smallpox was discovered to be the base strain of the virus, the modifications made to it had known vaccinations rendered useless when it came to the treatment of the sick. The people capable of researching and developing a cure were likely also infected, making it difficult for an organized effort to be made. The lack of quarantine, treatment, and the changes made to the virus ultimately led to the dollar flu being as widespread and lethal as Amherst had intended it to be. The main target that Amherst had in mind for the beginning of the end of mankind was New York department store Abel's. Being that it was Black Friday, Abel's was filled with eager shoppers ready to take advantage of the specials. Echo recordings show Amherst among the shoppers handing over contaminated bills to the cashiers. These were the first victims of the dollar flu. From here, the bills transferred to multiple shoppers within Manhattan, and within hours, the airport, and then the rest of the world. It was from this point that we lose track of Dr. Gordon Amherst. He just vanished. Perhaps he was sitting back watching the chaos unfold. The 2nd Wave Division agent's #1 priority was to find Amherst before any more damage could be done, and have him explain what he did, and how to stop the disease. Eventually, Amherst's fate is found. Only a short time into the outbreak, Amherst succumbs to his own creation. His body is found in an apartment building only a few hundred yards from the outpost on the Hudson River, where the 2nd Wave agents first arrive in Manhattan. However, the agents weren't the first ones to find him. Aaron Keener was one step ahead, and along with Amherst's research notes, protein printer, and Vitaly Tynenko as his hostage, he disappeared. Fun fact, Gordon Amherst's name does have some sort of historical relevance. Geoffrey Amherst was a British field marshal and a commander-in-chief during the 1700s, and governor of the English and French territories that would later become Canada. There are a number of achievements that he's recognised for, but there's one in particular that links him to the Dr. Amherst that we know in the division. In 1763, there was a rebellion where a number of Native American tribes joined together and led an assault on the British. During this time, there was an outbreak of smallpox in the fort, and it was Amherst that came up with the suggestion of using the outbreak against the sieging tribes. He actioned this by having smallpox-infected blankets fall into the hands of the native tribes. In 1780, Amherst was in charge of the British army that was involved with suppressing riots in London. Because of the way the situation panned out, Amherst was forced to resign as Commander-in-Chief. This particular situation is known through history as the Gordon Riots. Okay, so hopefully you've enjoyed that and maybe learnt a thing or two. I'll be back next week with a video on...
I love that guy. When Division 2 came out, you know, a lot of people would make videos about the game and make build ideas or whatever, you know. And this guy would talk about the story. He was fascinated with the storyline, like me. And many other people that are fascinated by storylines where, you know, you hear something and you're like, yo, I gotta fucking know everything about this. This is the craziest shit I've ever, this is a good story. This should be a good ass movie. And so since, like, in the game you run around, in like all games you wow, I walked past a fucking guy and he got the Goku with the pink hair, right? And that's not the real Goku, that's a copy of him, right? And you know what that copy's called? Black Goku. Anyway, so during the game they reveal the story to you, but they're made it where it's like you're damn near running around half of New York, so you really have to go look around to find these little phones and shit, and they tell you the whole story, but they're everywhere. Anyway, so men like this went and did the work, and then they show everybody, and then they give their own ideas as the game was unfolding, because all of this storyline and stuff was updated and put in. Nobody knew what was going on. So, you know, 5 years ago or more, they already had this. And it doesn't end well. They're still actually playing, the game's still updating, they're still making new stories to it. It's not over yet. They're making a Division 3. Can't wait till that game comes out. And that game is so dope, that's why I started making my own story off it. Like, that's why I haven't continued on it. I know where I want to go, but like I don't have gameplay, and I have to look through the storyline, and because I'm making my own story out of it. So I'm making this out of just me loving the game so much and knowing where I thought I where I thought it was gonna go, and they went some other place with it. So I said, nah, I want that. I like that storyline, and it's open season, so I want in on that. Anyway, I'm not saying none of this is real. I'm just saying life imitates art, and art imitates life. And when people come up with ideas and make things or whatever, see, for me, they're warnings. Sound of horns. These ain't the first things to do these things. Like, what's the one that everyone fucking knows now? The Simpsons cartoon and shit. Everybody's like hip to that. Like, yo, they been like saying things in that cartoon, and it's like been like happening and shit. It's like they're predicting the future. And it's like everyone is when you hear things like that, you're like, wait up, something told the future? I wanna know, I wanna see, right? But when I say the Bible tells the future, you fucking idiots don't want to know that, though. You don't want to go read. You'll go watch that cartoon for fucking 17 hours, won't you? You'll binge watch the whole thing. You could have binge watched the Bible, nigga. Like I used to, when I couldn't read. And I said, damn, I want to know what it says, but there was some big ass words that I'm tired of looking up shit in the middle of reading. Then I gotta go take 5 minutes to go look this up, and then I want to know who these people are, so I go look them up, and then they ain't showing niggas who they are. So you're like, wait up, this is fucking weird. Get it? To know shit, you really gotta put in work, just like you would with these other things. Like, that's the greatest weapon Satan has created, is distraction. And all he used to distract people is the Bible. He takes the stories out of it, and he fucking makes stories with other things in it and all this other shit. And then everybody's like, I want to see that. It predicted the future. Like, you people will pay attention more to the people that wrote those stories, and you just want to know how they knew, and how did they know? How did it know? They read the Bible, you fucking dumbass. That's how they know. That's how they're coming up with all these stories. All right, I did this to my pupil a long time ago because I stopped watching movies because my Batman brain is so advanced with movies that I started noticing there isn't any new movie. There's no new storylines ever. It's always the same shit now. It's always about the Bible. You fuckers haven't watched a story or a movie that isn't about the Bible since God knows when. And no one gets it. And everyone thinks I'm playing. And I did it to my pupil. I said, yo, put your favorite movie on, put anything on. I ain't watched movies in at least like 10 years, bro. Like, every movie new to me. And I said, I guarantee you, before the fucking movies even are halfway through, I'm gonna tell you who the bad guy is. I'm gonna tell you what the whole plot is. And you're gonna sit there and be like, yo, how the fuck did you do that? And I'm like, cause it's the same fucking story as every other story, nigga. And the villain always is in the beginning. He always pretending to be a good nigga. And he always next to the real nigga. And the real nigga always pussy. And the real nigga always gotta step up and face the face. It's the same fucking stupid shit. It's Jacob, man. It's the same Bible story. Every movie out was just coming out about aliens. All of that shit is all about the last day. When the Most High come down and start cracking niggas' heads open. Yeah. Two. I'll take 2. And that's all that really is. Most people don't know because they don't read the book. They don't read and see what it actually says. Thank you, bro. You're such a good guy, bro. Thank you. I swear that guy is good. I be leaving my money in there, buying shit, walking out, and he always put it aside or something. He always makes sure I don't get ripped off. I guess talking good to people on days when, you know, they're bored out of their mind, stuck in a fucking store, I guess that actually helps. What's going on, officer? But it's so crazy, bro. Like, this is what made me stop and learn and start looking up these Bible stories and shit, because when I was learning the Bible, I already was watching all these movies, right? And we all have all our favorite movies and blah, blah, blah. So as I'm going through the book and learning how to read and watching other people read it to me, and then now I know the words, and then I go look up the words to make sure these niggas ain't lying. And then I'm like, all right, now I know the words, now I'm going to watch the Sound of Horns. I'm going to watch other videos and watch them read it. And I'm going to read the book too, because when you read something, it burns into your mind better than just someone else telling you. Unless you have that verbal learning. Like, I got verbal learning. When I hear things, it locks in my head more than me saying it. And so when I began to see all my old stories, all my superhero stories, all the powers, all the fucking storylines, all these things, and then when I got near the end, when I started reading Isaiah and all this Enoch and all of that shit, and I started seeing all zombies and fucking, I said, wait up, Resident Evil's real? I said, hold on, wait up. You telling me Resident Evil might be real, nigga? And I said, this ain't good. Is this why the Most High made you love zombie games and all these survival games, and all you ever been doing is playing all these army games that have to do with always some shit like that, some shit. And, you know, like, what is he getting you ready for? Why he wants you to know all this stuff? I don't get it. Because you see the realness in it. It ain't just games. See, other adults, they got run. They got beat in the head and told, it's just video game. They can't learn nothing from no video game. You a little ass boy. I learned all this stuff from video games. And I learned how to survive it. The hard way. Now, the chances of actually surviving is slim to none. But that's what he's for. That's what Daddy's for. So, you know, Daddy did say, you know, lack of knowledge and stuff, if you don't know about things, and like, you know, sound horns. See, if real shit like that pop off, you can have all the training in the world. What did Mike Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan till they get punched in their fucking face. Get it? Meaning, everyone has a plan, and when real shit happens, when the real stuff actually happens, you can't think the same anymore. So, you sure your plan's gonna be the thing that sticks in your head? Because, you know, things are gonna happen that's not gonna go according to your plan. So your plan may not work because, you know, you didn't know. Now, me, on the other hand, I don't have a plan. There is no plan. There's only trust in the Lord and try to survive. And if I can't, you know, it doesn't matter for me. I know the Lord, and, you know, I'm not afraid to go see him. Now, like in that video with the Russian, it said that dude figured out the bacteria can help you live longer. You ever ask yourself, why is everybody looking for this elixir of life? Why would anybody want to live hundreds and hundreds of years or thousands? Why the fuck would you want to live that long? You're going to watch everyone die because everyone ain't going to get it. Oh yeah, those people don't want to die because they have to go see my father and be judged. That's the reason I want to live forever. So your ass don't get judged. All love, all praise to the Most High.